You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasía fútbol novelas. Espera con el patrón. Smitty is live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasía fútbol novelas. Espera con el patrón. You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasía fútbol novelas. Espera con el patrón. You are about to enter the fantasy football show. Please stand by like a boss. Estás entrado al fantasy.
Live from the fantasyfootballshow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What is going on, good people? You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. I'm your boy Smitty. Up early to discuss Lamar Jackson stuff. What's new? Lamar Jackson requested a trade. Let's fix this graphic here. On March, I believe it was 2nd, correct? March 2. Let's go and put that in the graphic there. Let's review this real quick. Lamar Jackson on Twitter. Making waves here. A letter to my fans. I want to first say thank you all for all the love and support you consistently showed towards me. All of you are amazing and I appreciate y'all so much. I want you all to know not to believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your questions in regards to my future plans. As of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization, for which the Ravens have not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that's met me or has been around me know I love the game of football and my dream is to help a team win a Super Bowl. You all are great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family and I. No matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore Flock Nation and the entire state of Maryland. Y'all see me again. This was from Lamar Jackson. And let me read this part right here. This part right here is also important. Ravens Lamar Jackson said he requested a trade. This came just moments before the Ravens head coach John Harbaugh was set to speak at the NFL owners meeting in Arizona. That's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at right now. Harbaugh, when he was asked about Lamar Jackson and his status heading into 2023, this is what he said. I'm getting ready for Lamar. When Lamar gets back on this train, it's moving full speed. This is just the latest in saga between Lamar and the Ravens. Look, this isn't even news, really, right? There's nothing here other than Lamar Jackson kind of stepping on Harbaugh before Harbaugh goes up to speed, putting Harbaugh in a box, trying to pressure Harbaugh to maybe make a move, and instead of Harbaugh taking the bait. And I'm not saying that Harbaugh handled this properly, but Harbaugh didn't take the bait. He didn't take the bait at all, and he's basically like, we love Lamar. We want Lamar back. Once Lamar's back on this train, it's full go. Bygones be bygones. This is just a business decision for him to try and get the most value. We anticipate, this is what I'm paraphrasing Harbaugh's attitude. Harbaugh saying, once things are back on track, once this blows over, once no offer sheets come in or a lowball offer sheet comes in, we'll match it, and Lamar will be back, and onward we march. Or he's posturing to be like, okay, we don't want the fan base to get upset if they love Lamar or are siding with Lamar. Let's take away Lamar's ammunition and let's act like, we want him back, but maybe we don't want him back. We don't really know what Harbaugh's thinking. We don't know what the team's thinking. We know there's a divide. We know there's animosity. What did I tell you about the franchise tag? It creates animosity, Smitty. That's what you said from the beginning. The franchise tag, also known by the players as the prison tag, is very, very much a divisive, dividing, animosity creating situation. The franchise tag, often coined, what is it called? It's called the prison tag, Smitty, by the players, creates animosity. This relationship is so damaged right now, so much so that Lamar Jackson's out there creating an entire gym to sell as a backup plan in case this football thing doesn't work out. So there's not much to even update you on other than there's more animosity. My news report right now is that there is more animosity than ever before. And the animosity is going to continue to build until somebody gets breached.
Get breached.
And I don't know that we have anything new. We don't have anything new except for Lamar's pissed off. We don't have anything new other than Lamar still doesn't know what he's doing. We don't have anything new unless he has an agent and his agent decided to make this move. Well, it does seem a little bit like calculated, but at the same time, if this is just Lamar marching to the beat of his own drum, yet again, without an agent, him and his mom decided late at night they were making hot cocoa around the stove, sitting next to the fax machine, waiting for the offers to come faxing in, and they're sitting there stirring their hot cocoa, and Mama Lamar says, why don't we just write a Jerry Maguire memo? Why don't we write a Jerry Maguire memo? And so what do? They create this little late night memo that makes no sense the next day, right? He's excited about it. He's like, everyone's going to love this. In the morning, no one cares. Lamar Jackson admitting he requested a trade that it sounds like the Ravens weren't interested in pursuing. Now, the Ravens could still trade him. That's possible. Teams could still slap down offer sheets for him. It is possible. But the landing spots are running dry. There are more teams that will likely be interested after the NFL draft than prior to the NFL draft because of the way the franchise tag, the non-exclusive franchise tag works. The non-exclusive franchise tag is different than the franchise tag that is exclusive. They're two different tags. The exclusive tag would allow the player no ability to negotiate, and they're tagging the player for $45 roughly. It recalculates in April, but about $45 million is what Lamar would have got paid on the exclusive tag. No teams would be allowed to negotiate with Lamar. Teams could only go to the Ravens and say, hey, what do you want for him? We'll sign him to a long-term deal, and we want him. What do you want? 3 first-rounders? Here you go. Here you go. We'll worry about the contract. You don't have to worry about a thing. That's what that is. It is the team full control. We're going to tag him. We don't have to trade him. We're going to put him a prison tag on him. We're going to hold him here. And if we want to trade him, we'll trade him. If we don't, we don't. So bring your best offer. That's the exclusive tag. The Ravens didn't slap the exclusive tag on Lamar. They slapped the non-exclusive tag on Lamar. The non-exclusive tag means that any team that has a first-round pick in both the next 2 immediate NFL drafts can come slap down an offer sheet right on Lamar's lap. And it's between Lamar and the team, not between the 2 teams. That's the difference between the exclusive tag and the tag that was used on Lamar, the non-exclusive tag. It's up to Lamar to go shopping for a new team. It's up to Lamar to get an offer sheet from somebody. Hey, please, somebody take me. And then the offer sheet's presented to the Ravens. They'll look it over and say, yeah, this is an easy one to sign. We'll match this one. This is a lowball offer. But Lamar has to sign it. Lamar's not going to sign a lowball offer. It's not a matter of a team coming in and offering the first lowball offer gets him. Lamar's got to sign it. And after he signs it, the Ravens look at it, either accept it, and then they take Lamar for that value, and the contract's already written for him. The dirty work's done for the Ravens. The Ravens don't have to negotiate with them. They say, go negotiate with another team, and if the deal is good enough, we'll take it. That's how the non-exclusive tag works. If the Ravens if the offer sheet gets slapped down, Lamar signs it, and the Ravens get it, and they go, this is too expensive. We don't want this. They give it back to the offering team. They get Lamar. And then in compensation, that team's first rounder in 2023, first rounder in 2024 go to the Baltimore Ravens. That is why teams like the Colts, teams like the Patriots, teams like that have a really high draft pick, the Lions, they won't be interested in Lamar until after the NFL draft when these picks are already spent. The value's already been used up. These teams, the Lions, the Washington Commanders, the New England Patriots, the Detroit Lions, who have the 6 and the 18, these teams want nothing to do with Lamar at the cost of giving up these high draft picks. The Colts at 4. Colts aren't giving up the 4 pick for Lamar right now. But once the NFL draft's over and the Colts say, we'll take Jackson Smith and Jigba, even if we got to trade down, we'll preemptively go get our wide receiver. We'll move this pick down a little. We'll take Jackson Smith and Jigba, or same thing with New England. We'll take Jackson Smith and Jigba, or same thing with the Lions. Maybe they do 2 offensive moves or defensive move and offensive move with the 6 and the 18. Build this team up even more. Then the Detroit Lions, then the Washington Commanders, then the New England Patriots, then the Indianapolis Colts all might say after the NFL draft's over, you know what? We'll give up our next 2 immediate first-round picks for Lamar because the 2023 draft's over. We'll give you our 24 and 25 first-rounders for Lamar Jackson. Here's the offer sheet. Sign it. Let's go win a championship. And for everybody that thinks Lamar isn't good, he's good. We don't know how good he is, and we may never know how good he is. He's a bust in Baltimore. He'll be a bust in Baltimore. Nothing's going to change in Baltimore. Baltimore doesn't know how to support him. Baltimore doesn't know how to support a quarterback, and Baltimore's changing their offense as we speak under a new coordinator, Munkin. It's all changing anyway. Get Lamar out of there. Get Lamar out of there. Lamar, go get an agent. And Lamar's ridiculous approach to this without an agent is his own fault. And the reason he might end up back in Baltimore, if teams make all other moves, the Colts draft, let's say they draft Levis. The Lions say, you know what, we're too far into the offseason now with the draft over. We're going to roll with Goff. And New England says, we like Zappy and we like this Mac Jones character who I think is going to absolutely bust. Washington says, you know what, Howell's looking good. He's been looking really good. These teams move on. And why do they move on, Lamar? Because you don't have an agent and you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing, Lamar. There's a reason that agents exist. There's a reason that they pluck lawyers And people go to school for a decade to do what agents do. There's back channeling involved. Lamar, you are crapping the bed, Lamar. It is your fault, Lamar. The reason you're not on a team right now is your fault. The reason you're sitting here limbo before the draft is your fault. It is your fault. You think you're smarter than everybody else. You think you're paving a way for other players. No one cares, Lamar. No one cares. You're paving nothing. You're creating no new scenario or world where players can be their own agent. I think he dreams this up at night, that he's going to pave the way to eliminate agents, like artificial intelligence is going to eliminate jobs. This is what Lamar thinks he's doing. I'm going to go ahead and destroy an entire industry single-handedly when I handle this like a boss. I'm going to handle this situation like a total boss, and I'm going to do away with agents. Nobody cares, Lamar. Nobody cares. And you're doing a piss-poor job anyway. A piss-poor job. You're going to botch your entire situations that are left right now. All of them are going to get botched because you don't know what you're doing, and it's clear as day. So get your act together, go get an agent, and get this thing done, and get a proper offer sheet, and get some back channeling that an agent can provide, Lamar, that you can't provide with your mama's fax machine in your mama's kitchen next to the crock pot. That's not going to work, Lamar. Get your act together. And the other 2 teams, 3 teams, 4 teams that can be involved, the Miami Dolphins. Let's say Tua goes out and during his judo sessions where he tries to better his ability to stay upright, he gets a concussion and we're all not aware of it, right? This is kept under wraps. And all of a sudden, Lamar Jackson interest brews between the Dolphins and Lamar, or the offer sheet, right? And the Miami Dolphins can't offer an offer sheet or even discuss anything with Lamar until after the 2023 draft. Why? Because you need a first rounder in each of the next 2 immediate NFL drafts in order to even discuss or talk to Lamar. You're prohibited from talking to Lamar if you don't have first rounders in the next 2 immediate NFL drafts. The Niners do not have a first rounder. The Miami Dolphins do not have a first rounder. So expect those teams to be kicked into high gear conversations and rumor mills once the draft's over. The draft is the tipping point for Lamar. I'll admit, I thought he was going to get 1 or 2 or 3 offer sheets before this point, but Lamar botched it. Lamar botched it. There was no back channeling going on during a very critical time in the 2-day tamper period where Lamar can't talk to an agent during that time. A team. Lamar can't talk to a team because it would be direct tampering. But these agents, they do back channeling, and Lamar's situation has dried up. Lamar, way to go. You botched everything, pal. Let's go ahead and hit the phone lines.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Again, not much to even update other than Lamar is just continuing to do Lamar things. And we're just waiting to hear about teams that are interested. And we're probably just waiting until the NFL draft, to be frank with you. I don't know that there's much that can happen between now and later. Leave Lamar alone? No, bro. I'm not going to leave Lamar alone. I still appreciate you, though. Let's go live to Nico. Nico, you're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Nico, what can I do for you?
Yo, Smitty, it's Nico.
Yo.
I just wanted to say, I think your Lamar Jackson analysis is pretty spot on. At this point, I kind of, as the local Ravens fan, I'm in the spot to where, of course, we love Lamar. We want to keep Lamar. And I think the Ravens organization feels the same. But it's like, if we can get a better deal for him, I kind of think that's what DeCosta's looking at. And I wouldn't necessarily poo-poo the idea away that a draft night trade could be possible or on the table, depending on who's there at that 4th pick for the Colts, the 7th pick for the Raiders, maybe even the 8th pick for the Falcons, just depending on who's on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think a draft day trade's possible. I think ultimately, like I said, the interest is going to be there once the NFL draft's over. I don't know how much interest will be there. Again, teams that could be interested might move on at that point. That's the problem with Lamar's strategy, is not having an agent puts him in such a dumb disadvantage. It's stupidity. It's straight stupidity. There's I don't know what he thinks he's proving or what path he's paving. He's not paving anything. He's making himself look like a moron, because this is there's people go to school for a decade to learn how to do. Most agents are attorneys because they need to know contracts and inner workings of deals and things, and not to mention the back channel conversations and the skill involved to connive. Like, these agents connive. Bro, do you think there isn't an agent out there, an agent that is good, that doesn't pick up the phone and say, hey, Detroit, you owe me a favor from that deal we did 5 years ago. I want you to leak. I don't care if it's the receptionist, to the janitor. I don't care what it is, but I want you to leak that you have interest in Lamar Jackson, and then let it die. You owe me. Okay. We'll go ahead and do that, Bob. Thanks a lot. That kind of stuff is invaluable. You can't even, no one even knows about 90% of the stuff that goes on behind closed doors in the back channel environments. So for Lamar to think this is the best way and best approach, he's absolutely misled.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, who knew that he requested a trade on March 2nd? But if he had an agent that was supporting him, then we get your all-time favorite unnamed source quote pop out on Twitter, and now all of a sudden it's publicized that he's requested a trade without Lamar having to directly state it. And you get a lot more fluent communication between teams and the agent and the Ravens than what's going on right now. I just think it's been a total mess. It kind of looks bad on Lamar's part. It's making the Ravens look bad by proxy, but I do think they're doing the right thing, because the type of deal that Lamar might be going after, I just don't think is going to be conducive to winning football in Baltimore.
Yeah,
not the way this team.
Let me say this, because you make a great point. The Ravens have done a piss poor job of supporting Lamar. The Ravens have done very little to enable him to be the best player he can be. Trading away Hollywood Brown, they've literally botched the beginning part of his career, and I blame the Ravens for a lot of it. However, in terms of this approach right here, right now, I think you make a great point. The Ravens have kind of played it the best way they could, right? They've slapped the non-exclusive tag, which I admit to you, I was shocked when it happened, and I didn't think it would play out as well as it's played out. To the prediction that they must have had in their boardroom meeting when they're like, let's go ahead and do the non-exclusive tag. Why do you want to do that, Bob? Because, Frank, if we do it, it'll play out like this. And it's played out beautifully. Like, I would never have predicted it to unfold and unravel the way that it has for Lamar. And like you said, though, it's the best move the Ravens could make at that moment in time, because Lamar's demands were high. Like, when we find out, let me make it very abundantly clear. While the Ravens have botched Lamar Jackson, raising him, maturing him, surrounding him with talent, constructing everything around him, while they botched that to the 100th degree, they haven't botched trying to sign him to a deal. That I just want to make sure that's clear. When I say the Ravens are screwing the pooch and Lamar's screwing the pooch, this is not the Ravens messing up with the contract offer. They've tried to prison him into Baltimore and offer him an amazing deal, $133 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed 3-year deal. The Ravens couldn't do any more. From offering a contract perspective, that is the best deal Lamar could ever hope for. It had $175 million locked in if he got injured. It was the injury part of that escalator was amazing. He got $175 million guaranteed if injured. He got $133 on 3 years fully guaranteed, which totally means that they offered him probably a 5 or 7 year deal, right? That had 3 years, 133 guaranteed in that deal. And when Lamar complained and got his juice box and kept crying about not getting the number one money in the world, I want Deshaun Watson's guaranteed money. When he kept crying about it, they said, you know what? Let's take out all the meat, the extra useless meat of the contract, and let's dumb it straight down to the guaranteed part, which is 3 years, 133. Just take that. And Lamar's like, ha ha, yeah, right. When that is the best deal he could offer. He's banking on himself like he's always wanted to do. He's been very vocal about that. He said, I want to maybe get franchise tagged 2 or 3 times in a row. Then I'll sign my big contract. He said that. In a way that could work out. You know, if he got franchise tag at $45 million for 3 years, that's that's over that 133. And then he could sign his big fat deal. Why not take the 133 fully guaranteed? And if you ball out, they're gonna re-up you after the second year, and you'll have the Ravens by the balls. This guy denies the 133 fully guaranteed deal. Again, Ravens doing their part, trying to get him inked into a bad situation. The Ravens are like, let's try and get him locked down for 3 years in this horrible situation where we don't, so no offense, man, I know you're a Ravens fan, where we don't support him, and Lamar is not playing ball at all. Like, Lamar, it's all on Lamar. Lamar got the best offer he could ever ask for just because it wasn't 233 guaranteed. Out of principle, stubbornness, he wants to be as good as Watson in terms of a contract. And I disagree with people that say that the teams are locked arms. We're going to prove it and show Lamar, and we're going to prove a lesson. But I do agree all the owners have probably met and said, hey, guys, we can't give people fully guaranteed deals. I 100% agree that teams have had that stance. And so what's this team do? Offer him 133. He wants 230 because Watson got it. He's not necessarily going to get that, but he could get something very creatively different, but maybe parallel in some ways, and he doesn't take it. A much more dumbed down, smaller version of Deshaun Watson's deal, 133 on 3 years, is really what Watson was getting. That's really what Watson was getting. Watson got, what, a 5-year deal, $230 million guaranteed? He's getting a 133, fully guaranteed. The fully guaranteed part is what people are saying that owners don't want, yet the Ravens offered it. It just wasn't the 5-year. It was 3 years. Lamar's totally botched this process.
With the chance for Lamar to then go out once that contract is finished and re-up with a much larger salary cap in the league and then go and get more money. I completely agree he botched it from a finance standpoint. I think as far as Baltimore is concerned, I think with Greg Roman at coordinator, I know it worked the 1 year, but as far as receiver, I don't feel like we have really enabled him at all. I agreed at the time and still now with trading Hollywood Brown just because of the injuries. And you see he goes to Arizona and gets hurt there. My problem was the Ravens' total inability while he's on that rookie deal to bring in a true bona fide number one receiver.
Of course,
no matter what that took, no matter what draft price that took. And they had the draft capabilities and ammo to go out and get a deal like that done, and they just didn't. I mean, as a whole, as you said, I'm pretty comfortable with the way the front office has handled it.
Handled the contract.
I want him on the team, but
handled the contract.
Yeah.
They've handled this contract part to a T, really. Like that's why it's confusing. I think people don't. They're like, Smitty, you just said the Ravens did a horrible job. The Ravens have done a horrible job, as you said and pointed out, and as I've highlighted 1,000 times over. They've done a piss poor job supporting Lamar. Piss poor, bro. Not bad, piss poor. He finally builds up Hollywood. You trade him away. You get him no wide receivers. You blame Bateman. You blame all these wide receivers as an organization. And the whole wide receiver room can't stand the organization. Lamar can't stand the organization. It's time to look in the mirror and say maybe we're doing things in a really bad fashion. The report cards of the Ravens to the training staff were awful. What was it, a D- or whatever the heck it was?
It was basically an F.
It was, an F. So essentially, the team isn't happy. The players aren't happy with the team. The team doesn't know how to support and enable Lamar, who needs a wide receiver. And then we're all going to judge him, and understandably so. I'm not mad at anybody for thinking Lamar's a total bust. He'll never be good. He'll never stay healthy. I don't blame anybody in here saying Lamar will never stay healthy because he hasn't been able to prove it. The Ravens have disabled him. Not just not enabled him, they've disarmed him. They've taken away weapons. Not just not added weapons, bro. They've taken away weapons. You took away Hollywood Brown. He wasn't a top 10 wide receiver, even if he played slightly like one. Lamar was part of the reason why he did. There's no hope here. He's, in my opinion, I hate to say this to you as a Ravens fan, there's no hope here for Lamar Jackson to be successful anywhere near the degree he could be successful in a place that would give him the proper weaponry. There's just no way.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. We have receivers on this team. I can't tell you how many times, not even last season, but the season before that, we have wide receivers running 3 or 4 route combinations 10 yards away from each other and are running into each other on the field. And it's like, how is Lamar supposed to be successful in that environment?
He's not.
I think it's a failure of the coordinator. I feel like it's a failure of the receiving talent around him. The only thing that I think has been good has really been the offensive line, and even at times that's been shoddy. So thanks for letting me call in, Smitty.
Hey, appreciate you calling in, bro. And you make excellent points to recap what he's saying. And hey, stay there, Nico, if you can. If you can't, no problem. But I'll keep you on the panel here.
All right.
Just hang tight if you can.
I can. I got a little bit of time.
Yeah. So we'll bring Ron Navy on in a second. But to recap, Nico, to recap what I'm saying, and we're pretty much saying the same thing. I'm just a little harsher on his team because he's a loyal fan and he's going to want to be supportive. And I respect that totally, and I understand it. That's why I feel bad when I'm ripping on him. The team has handled the contract part beautifully. I know it sounds confusing, but they have. They've offered Lamar what he's wanted. They've given him an unbelievable $133 million fully guaranteed 3-year deal and has an injury clause of $175 if he were to get injured and not be able to play the game. Unbelievable deal. That is the best offer he could possibly get because it's fully guaranteed. It's 3 years. It's very short. That's what any player's dream would be. And maybe he could bump it to 140. Like, I'm not saying there isn't negotiating wiggle room, but that is an amazing deal. The Ravens have botched every other part of this process in supporting Lamar, in keeping him happy. And Lamar's botched every part of the process by not hiring an agent and going at this the total wrong way. Just an absolute botched situation all around. Ron Navy, you're live.
Hey. Well, I'm critical on Lamar as far as his quarterback abilities, as far as his passing abilities. But I kind of disagree with the takes that you guys are taking as far as Lamar is stupid and that he's botched it and all this other stuff. I actually think the guy is pretty smart, and this is why. This is my pushback on that a little bit. Is we already know all these teams aren't interested. We know the teams aren't interested because they don't want to give up this year's first-round draft pick, which is reasonable. So all these, you got 4 or 5 teams out there. They wait till after the draft. They're in on Lamar. Let the bidding wars begin. Why would Lamar want to go out and pay an agent any amount of money at all if he feels like he can best represent himself? He might have turned down that Baltimore offer because he just doesn't want to be there anymore. He does not want to be there, so he's just determined that he's going to wait it out. And in fact, after the draft, his chances are best to make a deal with one of these teams out there. And to your point earlier, you said these teams would be stupid. When I mentioned they could be colluding together, you said no team is going to say, I'm not going to do Lamar because I'm just going to – you're right. These teams aren't going to not sign him because they made a deal with another owner. They want to win a Super Bowl. So these teams are going to, after the draft, I feel they're going to bid on him. And I feel Lamar's going to get what he wants, and he doesn't stay in Jacksonville not Jacksonville, but Baltimore, because Baltimore's not gonna want to match the offer at all. I think he'll get what he wants, and I think he's smart. I don't think he should do an agent. That's just like saying, Smitty, you need an agent. You need an agent to back do your show and to do all this other stuff. You're going to let anybody tell you need an agent?
Ron, that's a tough comparison. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but that parallel is not even close. Like what Lamar Jackson's trying to navigate waters that an agent is able to navigate and Lamar can't possibly navigate these waters. Like I said earlier, the back channeling involved. He's lost so many opportunities already by not having an agent. And so while it could have worked out, Could it still work out? Yeah. I mean, I've mapped that out for over 2 months now. That if a team after the NFL draft, a la the San Francisco 49ers, let's say Brock Purdy's, rehab goes badly, something horrible happens. After the NFL draft, they have 2 immediate first rounders, and then in the next 2 drafts, they have a first rounder in each of the next 2 immediate drafts, which means they can then play ball with the offer sheet process. They can't right now. The Miami Dolphins, let's say, who can't participate right now, they have no first rounder. They have to wait until after the draft. If, let's say, Tua goes out there, gets concussed, walks to pick up the newspaper, falls, hits his head, whatever, God forbid. I mean, we prayers up for Tua. We're hoping that's not the case, but it's very, very likely with Tua. There's no way to know when Tua is going to get hurt, but it could happen in the offseason. So if that happens, the door could open for Lamar to go to one of these amazing locations. And at that time, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, it worked out. He did do the right thing. He didn't. He's got to get really lucky, because now is every time this entire waiting process of his to actually have an agent get started on this has eliminated and shrunk down his availability of locations, of places to go. So it could still work out if for whatever reason a certain location decides they want to bring him in and it works, but he still narrowed his choices down, and he does need an agent, Ron. Some of these teams would up the offer, the amount that the agent would get paid just to have a smooth process happen. Like, it's not, there's no intelligence being shined through on Lamar Jackson's part by not having an agent through a complicated process of something that takes attorneys to look through, comb through. What's he going to do with this? What's he going to do with this contract, Ron? Take it to an attorney. He's going to take it to an attorney. He needs to. This is why you have an agent. There's no benefit to not having an agent. Who cares if you're saving $1 when your agent will get you more anyway in the negotiation? And I get what you're saying about Lamar maybe didn't want to be there. I agree with that. But at the time of the $133 million 3-year deal, he did. He was actively trying to get an offer, a correct offer, and he denied that one. So I agree with you. At this point, he doesn't want to be there anymore. He feels slighted. But I think he's showing zero intelligence by trying to navigate this complicated process that's so much more complicated than either you or I even know about, because of the small details and crazy back channeling situations that take place every single day with agents and teams. And you need that relationship building. You need that access, that back channel access that Lamar literally didn't get any of, because teams moved on. They moved on before that 2-day window closed and the new league year started. He lost 3 or 4 opportunities just by not having an agent. So maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't.
It's the public relations side of it. He has Kenny Powers going out there negotiating with teams.
Yeah.
And that's going out and leaking in the media. It's just a bad look. So if anything, you pay an agent to assist you with the framing and the public relations side of it, and he's the one that pushes that rumor mill. Lamar having to do that himself, because he's a player and the main player in his own contract, creates a bunch of complications that are unnecessary and aren't there if he has an agent, just like it does.
Yeah. I agree, bro.
You talk about all the opportunities that if he had an agent, he would have had. He didn't have any opportunities if he would have had an agent. Even if he would have signed an agent the day after, all these teams came out and said, we're not interested in Lamar. We're not interested in Lamar. Just if he would have went out and hired an agent, there's no guarantee that he would have had opportunities there. The teams are probably still looking at, I don't want to give up my high draft pick this year, and I don't think he's as stupid as everybody thinks he is. I mean, honestly, we already know. Look what the NFL has done. The NFL is horrible with players from the beginning. I mean, they try to undercut players. They try to make it hard for players. And he's making a statement, and maybe we don't see it now, but we'll be talking. And when this is all said and done, I mean, I have a feeling we're going to be having conversations like, wow, Lamar actually got it done. Lamar actually cut through all this stuff, because the NFL.
It may be so.
The NFL going out there putting out letters that You can't have a non-approved agent represent you and this and that, letters like that, because the NFL is scared of what Lamar's doing right now. He is scaring them to their core because they don't want to be held hostage to players. Players have done this in the past where they've gotten an advantage, and the NFL don't want the players having any advantage over them whatsoever, and they are scared of what Lamar is doing right now. So they're putting out all this hoopla and everything else. Lamar could come out being, go down, and you'll hear all these future players coming in. I remember when Lamar did that thing, he changed everything for players going forward in the NFL. I mean, that's the type of thing. That's the type of stand I think he's making, and I think it's brave. I mean, I don't think he's the greatest passer in the world, and I don't think he's the most accurate and all that, but I think he's brave. I don't think he's as dumb as people think he is, and I think he's pretty smart because he's going to have at least four or five teams fighting over him after the draft. I think that's pretty smart on his part. That's my opinion.
You make some good points.
No, I don't care. That's my opinion.
No, I know. You make some good points in terms of like he's trying to do these things, but in terms of for him, and could it maybe open the door to more of this? Sure. But some players don't want to deal with that, and that's fine too. I mean, everyone can take their own approach, but there's a reason to have an agent. There's so many complexities involved. It's not a downside to have an agent. The agent world exists because players have to focus on football. Some people don't want to try and deal with this, the stress levels involved with this. I don't know that he's paving this amazing path for everybody like he thinks he is. And like I said, even if it works out, doesn't mean that it was successful. He just got very lucky that there was still a player involved that was going to be involved anyway. Like him waiting without an agent isn't going to potentially open a door that isn't going to already have been open amongst other doors. And now he has to go to that one place because of that. Like I get what you're saying, but it's worth the cost of an agent when you could package that into the deal and say, what are we paying the agent? Add that to the deal and I'll do it. And teams would be glad to do it. I get what you're saying. I do believe the NFL does not like this. I 100% agree with that. But they don't like it because of 100 different reasons. One, because they do like to control. There's big money involved. The agents are probably really upset about this. This is my job. He's trying to eliminate my job. This is, like I said, the earlier artificial intelligence taking away jobs. People are mad at artificial intelligence. People are mad at Lamar. But Lamar is, in my opinion, not putting himself in a better position to get the best deal. He's limiting those options. 100%, I believe that. Will he still find a good home where we're like, hey, it worked out? Sure. Like, I'm not going to be shocked and I'm not going to feel like I was wrong on this topic. And I appreciate your stance and you can feel how you want. That's great. I just don't think, I think he's limiting his avenues and he's got to get real lucky for a San Francisco 49er team to need a quarterback after the NFL draft. He's got to get real lucky that Bill Belichick or the Colts or one of these teams like Washington still want to go down this avenue after the NFL draft and not plan ahead by drafting a quarterback. The Colts could take Levis. They got to make a decision before the NFL draft where they want to go. So if he's left with a team that still wants to partake, he will get lucky. That will be a very, very lucky move. It could still work out. Maybe he still paves the way a little bit for players that want to maybe do this because maybe their deals aren't massive. Maybe their deals are, and that makes sense. And I understand that perspective. Like if a player that's getting a much smaller deal is like, man, I can do this without an agent and I could just walk in and I could save some of that money instead of paying it to an agent. That makes sense to me. But with Lamar Jackson in this big of a deal with this treacherous water type environment, there's no reason he should be trying to navigate this by himself when it's losing him opportunity. If he doesn't care about money, he doesn't care about the ultimate landing spot, he wants to narrow his choices down and do something for the players, and this is what he believes he's contributing, then so be it. But it's not going to land him the most opportunities in the best spot. It's going to only potentially limit him and put him in a worse situation.
Yeah, I mean these are $1 billion franchises and they're negotiating $100 million contracts for quarterbacks. I think if you're not going to have an agent, it's one thing if you're a cornerback or a linebacker. I mean, the Ravens even went, I don't think Roquan Smith had an agent and was able to get a very good deal done with him. But when you're a quarterback and as important of a role in a position as that is, and how much money and the complexities of those kind of contracts, sometimes you just want to get an agent to remove yourself from the equation because those contracts and those talks can get very toxic. And you want that to be reflected on the agent, and that's what the agent gets paid to do. So that keeps Lamar's image clean because it's like, all right, these contract negotiations are going bad. Well, it's going bad between Lamar's agent and the team, not Lamar specifically representing himself and the team.
And again,
and it puts him in a very difficult position that he doesn't need to be in.
Yeah, and again, to Ron's point, the paving the way for players, let's say, to not need agents is. There's an important angle there that could maybe mean something down the road. Like you said, for a cornerback, a smaller contract. But with this size deal, it doesn't make any sense when it's going to be very, very hard to find teams that want to pay this amount of money to begin with. And you start knocking off your opportunities and landing spots and just getting rid of those opportunities. It puts you in a lesser situation. It puts you in a position to land with maybe a team you didn't even really want to go to, like if he goes to Tennessee. I think Tennessee would be a bad landing spot because it's very similar. It's not like Atlanta. Atlanta would be wonderful. Atlanta, he would thrive there. He would, if Lamar went to Atlanta, everyone that's negative in the chat saying he's not a good passer or he'll get hurt, I think Atlanta would change his career. I think Atlanta would be amazing. Now, they may not be interested no matter what. They may have not been interested whether he had an agent or whether he didn't have an agent, but we'll never know that. Maybe they come back around. We don't know. Maybe they come back around after the draft. Again, keep in mind one of the reasons why these teams, and no one's going to tell you what they want to fully do. Let's say if Atlanta did want him, they're not going to correct the record. Somebody came out and said Atlanta's out. You're not going to correct that record if you really want Lamar. Why would you? It's a disadvantage. So maybe because Atlanta doesn't want to surrender this number 8 overall pick, it is accurate. They don't want to partake. Once the draft's over, they give up their 24, 25 first rounders. Now they do want Lamar. Maybe that still happens, but good God, man. Why you wouldn't, when you're dealing with the 133 at the minimum, and he didn't want that deal. You're dealing with $200 million. Why you wouldn't want somebody in here that has vast experience in getting you the most bang for your buck. And think about it from this perspective. We could say, oh, greasy agent, they want to get their hands on the money. They're going to want to get the biggest deal possible because then their percentage is even bigger. So it makes no sense. There's a reason people go to school. There's a reason that attorneys, people that know contracts in and out, people that know the law in and out, in and around the NFL policies, all that stuff. There's a reason there's a job for these people. This is like trying to go to, I don't know, try to be your own doctor just because you think you can hold a blade pretty well. Like there's a reason that there's this profession. The profession's there because someone went to school or went to multiple schools to become an expert in the field of contracts and numbers and legal jargon and relationship building along these lines. I get what it means to do what Lamar's doing. To me, it's not working out well. Could he get lucky? Maybe.
The bottom line in all of this, and we're gonna beat this topic down. We're gonna talk about it because that's what we do. That's what everybody does, is talk about this. But in the end, it comes down to Lamar. Lamar's his own man. Lamar can do what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, and however it works out, good, bad, or indifferent, Lamar's going to be the one that has to accept whatever happens, the consequences, good or bad, and move on from that. And I think he's willing to do that. He's his own guy. He's going to make his own decisions, kind of like Favre. But Rodgers don't like anybody in his business or speculating on what he's going to do and all this. I think Lamar's the same type of dude that doesn't want anybody involved in what he's trying to do and all this other stuff. And I think when it comes down to the end, I mean, it's all about him. Doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It all goes down. It all boils down to what Lamar wants and what Lamar thinks. Good, bad, or indifferent. Lamar's the type of person that's going to do how he wants to do it, and nobody's going to tell him otherwise. And there's people out there that
I agree.
that are like. Don't want. It's like nobody wants big government telling them what to do 24/7. We want them to be.
I know, Ron. I get all that, Ron. I get all that. I mean, we all understand that he's doing this.
All I'm saying
he's so man.
You can be very right, on your take. Whatever. But in the end, it doesn't matter because Lamar's his own guy and he's going to do what he wants to do.
But I am here. But I am here to give my opinion, and my opinion is he's botching the hell out of it.
Agreed.
So I get what you're saying, but I'm still going to change the fact that, like, he's going to do what he's doing. You're right. He is his own man. You're right. But I feel like he's botching his opportunities and they're dwindling. And he's got to get really lucky to still have one available. And maybe one will be. Maybe Atlanta opens the door again. Maybe Tua ends up getting concussed. And God forbid, prayers up. We hope it doesn't happen. But if it does, or let's say Brock Purdy goes out there and immediately has a problem with his arm and they just decide we're not trusting Trey Lance because they want to sabotage Trey Lance in San Francisco, or at least Shanahan seems to want to, or seems to be inclined to. And then all of a sudden that opportunity opens up. He could get really lucky in that sense and it all work out. It could all work out. But I just think it's ridiculous. Lamar's not going to read this contract by himself. He's going to hire professionals to do it. And he's going to be, in a way, doing what he said he wouldn't want to do. Bring in legal counsel and maybe he just wants that part looked at. Sure, and he pays somebody a significant amount of money, but it's chump change to look at the contract. But, like, that's why you have an agent. I get what you're saying, Ron. I just disagree with it. I disagree with Lamar's approach. I think it's ridiculous to be trying to negotiate a near $250 million deal by yourself with your mom. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. There's too much to mess up. And that's why people go to school for it. I'm not going to try and be my own doctor. It's a very similar process. I don't look at it like, okay, you could hire a construction worker to build onto your house. Well, I could just do it myself. I could go get the permits by myself. I get that's kind of the angle you're seeing it as. I just don't see it. I see it more to the doctor tune than I do see it like, I can be my own attorney. I can represent myself in court in a court case. Like, I get those perspectives. Like, why pay an attorney when I can sufficiently defend myself in court? I'll defend myself. That makes sense. I'm saving a boatload of money. Let's say I don't have to defend myself. Lamar Jackson, it doesn't make any sense to me to rule out and narrow down his pool of teams to what? To open this path of, I mean, people have negotiated for themselves already. It's not like Lamar will be the first player to ever negotiate his own contract. Maybe he'll be the first one to do it at this high level, but people already know they can do it. They can do it if they want. Like, it's already an open path everybody is capable of doing. I don't think he's creating some new invented process. So, I don't know. It's ridiculous to me still. But
I mean, I don't with your take on it. I don't totally disagree with your take on it. All I'm trying to say is Lamar is his own guy. He's going to do what he wants to do, and nobody's going to tell him different. And he's no matter how it works out, he's going to have to live with those consequences.
Agreed.
And it's on him. That's on him. That's solely on him. And if it turns out bad, that's on him, and he's got to live with it. And if it turns out great, it's on him, and he's got to live with that. So I don't disagree with your take per se, but I'm just saying that just because what we think isn't how Lamar, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, that's why I'm being critical, though, Ron, is I'm saying he needs to get his act together and bring in somebody to get this done, or he's gonna squander everything. If he doesn't want to be in Baltimore, he's gonna end up being in Baltimore because of this. If that's his concern,
is what I'm trying to say. Is he's stuck at his principles? He's stuck thinking the way he's thinking, and nobody's going to tell him differently. Just like nobody's going to tell Rodgers how to do his business. It's the same type of thing, and that's how I feel Lamar is. I'm not trying to say that he should or shouldn't. I mean, I know your opinions and everybody's opinions. He should go out and get an agent, but will he? Probably not, because that's just how he is.
He can't go backwards at this point. Just even the way his his buddy that he's partnering with this ridiculous looking gym, that just like that whole thing too, like the fact that this guy's out there running his mouth, or apparently reportedly running his mouth about, maybe they've been like subtle comments like, hey, what do you guys think of this gym? Hey, Lamar, while I'm there, I'm going to put in a good word. And it's like something very, very innocent, but he just gets carried away, or maybe it's still innocent, but it's being reported back. Hey, so-and-so, this guy, whatever his name was, Lamar's partner, is talking about Lamar's contract to teams. It's like, these are all the things that are just, it's not, he's not headed in the right direction with it. Maybe it all turns around, but, Nico, what did you say?
Oh, that may have been Ron, but I mean, I agree. He has 10 masters or powers or whatever his name was going to other teams. I don't think that memo just came out of anywhere. It's just not a good professional look for a quarterback that's trying to get a $250 million deal done.
And then what he did was he put out a tweet immediately after, like claiming the guy. It's like, here's this guy. He's out. Yeah. You know what an agent would have said? Distance yourself from this guy for a minute, bro. Don't go out there and just be like, that's my boy. That's my boy, Blue. And on top of what he just said, we're coming out with the gym next week. It's like Lamar tweeted immediately after all the chaos on this guy's representing Lamar. And again, some of that could be stretched, and it's all hearsay. I don't even know. It's all just being reported. Reportedly, allegedly, he's been talking to teams. We don't fully know. But Lamar Jackson immediately, he's like, that's my partner. And it's not true. It's all lies. But we're coming out with the gym, baby. Get ready. This is me and him.
With his 2 pound, 3 pound grandma weight.
Bro.
Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts is in the weight room.
600, 800 pounds.
400 pounds.
Yeah, 600 pounds, I think. Yeah. What are you doing with these baby weights? It was like the size of this, and it was like this little the entire. It's like a quarter of the gym, not even a quarter of the gym, a fraction of the gym. It was like little baby weights, and what are you gonna do with that? And he's promoting it like as if this guy's going to teams. That's why he was talking, I guess, reportedly, why he was talking to teams and maybe talking about Lamar's contract, or that they should negotiate with him, or whatever the alleged reports were. Again, unconfirmed. I don't know. Just the report said that he was potentially negotiating, and the memo insinuated that. What's he doing? He's going to NFL teams. What NFL team's going to be impressed by that suitcase of grandma weights?
Your spoof deal was
the grandma's
funny as hell.
Thanks. Yeah. I just couldn't believe that thing. Steven, you're live.
I'm going to go back to what I said before about during the playoffs. He sat out. Was it 4 games, 5 games, or whatever? I want to know if behind closed doors, like, well, he could have played. He held himself out, and that could be one of the major deals that's going on here. But after the draft or during, I am confident that Eric DeCosta and the Ravens organization knows what they're doing. We have a top 5 defense. Other than a couple of wide receivers, we're pretty much set across the board. And I think they may be looking at it from an analytics standpoint. DeCosta and Harbaugh have always been about the numbers. And, but you can't trade him until before or during, because if you do, you're going to tip your hand and everybody's going to know, well, maybe Baltimore's going to go in the draft. Maybe if they could get another first-round pick, try and move up and take a quarterback. They're not going to tip their hand on it. We're not going to know what they do. There could be some huge 3-team trade. Who knows? But I'm confident that DeCosta and the Ravens organization knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that you could be right, Steven. I'm not saying you're wrong, But with Lamar, you've got limited opportunities. You can't really play that into the NFL draft. If, let's say, a team is going to say, you know what, you don't trade us Lamar, then we're going to go into the draft solving our problem, and then now you don't have an ability to trade him. So I get what you're saying, but I think it's case by case. You know, they run into a situation where, I mean, honestly, I think nothing happens at all until after the draft at this point, but you never know. All it takes is one team. All it takes is one situation. But Lamar Jackson playing in Baltimore as of this moment, despite what Harbaugh said when Harbaugh was asked about it, Harbaugh said that I love Lamar. What do you say? He says, when Lamar's back on this train, it is moving full speed. I'm ready. I'm getting ready for Lamar. I don't know if this is just him trying to, steer the ship the most correct and polite way and save face and make it look like they want him. So like he's valuable. We're not trying to just get rid of him. Yeah. But I think everybody here, I think it's damaged beyond repair. I think the problem is Lamar's, like I said earlier, limited himself by eliminating his options down to a smaller number to where these two parties might have to reconvene and try and repair a damaged relationship. So that's part on Lamar. Like I said earlier, the Ravens piss poor job supporting Lamar over the years, but actually did a good job trying to ink him to a new contract, $133 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed, and they've handled that part. They've catered to him. They've offered him, a fully guaranteed deal. They shrunk down the bigger contract to the guaranteed part. They've done what they could, and you see everybody around, and maybe Lamar feels differently about his value, but when you see everybody, like whenever you post 133 fully guaranteed, it's like, and these are just regular Joes like us commenting, but it's like, oh my God, why didn't he take that best deal he could find? He's not deserving of a Hurts contract. I can't believe he do it. He's never going to stay healthy. Like, I know he thinks he's Jalen Hurts, but until he proves it outside of Baltimore when he's fully supported, which again, he hasn't been. He's been a total bust in Baltimore. I'm sorry, Steven, but he's been a total bust in Baltimore. In Baltimore, except for his MVP season, of course, but the last 3 years, he's been a bust. He's not supported. He can't survive there because they don't support him and cater to him. Maybe Munkin will. It's a new offense. Maybe Munkin will. Maybe Munkin will draft a wide receiver at this number 22 overall pick right here. It's possible. It's very possible that things could potentially change a little bit for the better, but they haven't supported him. End of day, the Ravens are to blame, I think, partly for Lamar, and Lamar's to blame with his potential, attitude or whatever the case may be. But right now, right here and right now, the Ravens are they've tried their best to give him a deal that is deserving of Lamar. Lamar has some responsibility and inward looking and reflection to say, you know what, I'm not deserving of Hurts money yet. Go take a 3-year, $133 million deal, bank on yourself, and then get Hurts' payday. Like Lamar has not done anything for 3 years on a consistent level. He can't ask for Lamar money. He can ask for it, but he's not going to get it. For anybody saying, oh, he can get more, he should be getting more. He should be getting more because he had an MVP season a while ago. He hasn't done anything for 3 years, and he needs to prove that. And to get 133 fully guaranteed, he had it all. He had it by the balls. All he had to do was go out and perform. He would have been re-upped after 2 years and got a massive deal.
I don't think
a lot like the San Francisco 49ers. I draw a lot of comparisons between the two teams. And you pay your players just as they paid Roquan Smith when they were able to get that young man and bring him in. They're going to pay key players. And Lamar is, I don't believe in their minds, a key player. I believe insert quarterback and roll on, whether it's Tyler Huntley, which I'm completely confident in. Shout out to Goose Con Gaming in the chat for bringing Huntley up. They can win games with him, and they can go and do what they want. They could bring another quarterback in. They could draft one, which, they probably will either this year or next year. But I'm not too concerned about it.
I like Huntley.
That's the way I believe the business needs to be done.
I like Huntley a lot more than most people do like him. I think that if he's supported the same way, he'll fail though. But let's say Munkin brings in Zay Flowers. Let's say you guys draft Zay Flowers at 22 overall. The most likely of the top 4 wide receivers to fall to 22, or Quentin Johnson, let's say, falls. Then all of a sudden you're doing what you didn't do with Lamar, which is frustrating. Support him, get a wide receiver. But I think Huntley would do a lot better than people expect. I think Huntley failed because Lamar was failing there too. Nobody was succeeding there in that environment, that exact environment that was supposed to be this run-heavy offense that was changed and morphed over to a run-heavy running back room with all ACL tear running backs, leading the way. So Lamar had to shoulder a lot of them.
Healthy this year.
I know, but that's my point.
You're high up on Brees Hall, so I mean,
Steven, I said last year. He walked into Huntley walked in. I'm talking about Huntley last year, Steven. He walked into a horrible situation where this offense wanted to run heavy with an all ACL running back room. Those are all facts. And they're bringing in Munkin now. It's a new system. So this year's totally different. I'm saying that Huntley could be successful. I'm agreeing with you. If they brought in a wide receiver and Huntley got supported right, I think everybody just drew a conclusion that Huntley's bad. I think Huntley's got a ability to prove himself, and I think he can. I don't think you guys are a better team right out of the gate, but I think that with Huntley, if he's supported, he actually could do a lot better than people think. I really like Huntley. I do. I know a lot of people don't. They wrote him off right away. They just wrote him off. 1 year, boom. We saw the same thing with all these other quarterbacks. 1 year, done. Not accurate, never could get better. Everyone says it all the time about everybody. But I don't know. We beat a dead horse on this topic enough.
I just think that all the moves that have been made, the new defensive and offensive coordinator, the signing of Roquan Smith, is all of these moves are showing us that they're moving on from him, that they're not beholden to him, and the more that they can play this game, it'll benefit the Ravens in the long run. Now, I wish Lamar the best. He'll go somewhere and play well.
But I
mean, and all that'll be fine.
True, but Steven, my whole point and my whole tirade and rant earlier was that Lamar is single-handedly eliminating a lot of his options, and so he might be back in Baltimore whether the sides want to have him back or not, whether the two sides want to be back. He's put himself in a situation where there might be 3 options instead of 7, and so therefore, if the Ravens want him gone, they may not get that wish, but maybe they are able to, at the end of the day, make some sort of trade with him. But we'll see if a team's. I think the key date right now, unless some kind of miracle happens, the key date is the day after the NFL draft. The day after the NFL draft, we're going to start kickstarting some conversations, and it may happen really fast because there could be a team going, the Colts could be going as soon as the 2023 draft is over, as soon as it's over, because we're not surrendering this number 4 overall pick. We're using it to get our wide receiver. As soon as the draft's over, we're slapping that offer sheet so fast down on Lamar's desk, and we're going to say, sign this bad boy. This is big enough, and it's got to be big enough that the Ravens don't want to match it. So it's a very, very delicate situation, and good God, Lamar better not just be so into himself at that moment that he says, I got to get the biggest contract ever in the history of the NFL. And it's got to be 230 to the exact number. I want the exact cents guaranteed that Deshaun Watson got. He's got to let go of that. He's not.
I mean, if he's out there getting 233 on what you're saying, that is like a franchise handicapping deal. And especially for a player like Lamar, and I don't like going on, I don't like saying he's an injury-prone player because I think the injuries have been fairly ticky-tack. But, if he's out for 8 or 9 games, especially in November, December, and the Colts are without him for half the season, that roster isn't good enough for them to win 75% of their games like he has been doing with the Ravens. So I do think it is going to expose Lamar a little bit if he is looking for that kind of deal. And I think that kind of deal is the only kind of deal that the Ravens wouldn't take, because the Ravens put that non-exclusive on him because they're like, look, we're about to take literally anything except a above the mark outrageous level contract that almost none of these teams are going to go for. So I'd be surprised if he does get it.
you guys know who is an exact candidate for this type of deal. It's Dan Snyder. I'm pushing all my chips in. Lamar will be with the Washington Commanders.
I think it's one of three teams that make the most sense. I agree. It's up there. I don't know that it'll happen for sure, but I think the Colts, the Patriots, the Washington Commanders, the Tennessee Titans, and then Miami Dolphins or Niners, depending on if those situations change. Right now, I don't see the teams, even if the draft is gone and they can participate, I don't see them wanting to deal for Lamar in the current context and situation that they're looking at. But, those situations could change. But Washington, Tennessee, I still hope Atlanta's in somehow. We don't know that Atlanta's out. We've only heard that they're out through hearsay, right? I don't think there's a single report from, and even if there was, and I'm misremembering, ownership going, we're not looking at Lamar. They might not be looking at Lamar because the NFL draft's coming. And then once the NFL draft's over, they might be looking at Lamar. So if I was the owner of a team and someone asked me about Lamar and I wanted him after the NFL draft, do you think I'm going to tell anybody? Imagine when someone asks you about who you're taking at the 1.1 in the rookie draft, and they say you taking Bijan. What do you say? You might be like, I'm actually looking at Jackson Smith and Jigba a little bit. You're making up something. So I don't want to hear Atlanta's fully out. We don't know yet. We got to wait until after the NFL draft. Atlanta would be smart to go after Lamar. It's just a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I agree. Especially for fantasy purposes. I think it's a gold mine. Yeah.
If Lamar goes somewhere to a different team, I think it's funny that Baltimore's most consistent, best offensive player is going to be their kicker.
Yeah, maybe. And the crazy part is I almost guarantee they go after a wide receiver. And it's going to frustrate everybody. They're going to be like, why would you not do this for Lamar? Why would you not do this for – you're going to go ahead and take Zay Flowers or Quentin Johnston at 22 overall for Huntley, but you won't do it for Lamar. It's crazy.
That's not to say that they didn't realize they made a mistake the first two or the second and third year of his career. They should have had that done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they're probably sitting there saying, well, we kind of screwed up on that, so now we have to move on and we have to fix it and turn things around. I mean, stuff happens.
Yep. Hey, Steven, I appreciate you. I got to jump off, guys. So, Steven, any final words?
No, I'm good. You guys have a good day. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, call in anytime, Steven. Nico, final words.
Go Ravens. Thank you, Smitty, to the moon.
Thank you, Nico. Thank you for being objective, too. I know it's hard to hear some of that. You sound very, very objectively clear-headed when it comes to your Ravens, so kudos.
I got my group chat full of Ravens fans, and I go back and forth, but, I've been doing this long enough in fantasy long enough to know, what's right and what's fan bias. I try to at least.
Send as many of them this way, bro. We need them here. It'd be fun to have more of your Ravens people in here. All right.
Yeah, we'll do.
Later, Nico. Ron Navy, final words. Ron Navy.
Do you think you're gonna try to do a big board tonight before it all fills up? It's over 90%.
I might try, but usually just Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are the graveyard shift live streams. Breaking news lives I do on Mondays and Wednesdays, but I'll try, but it's probably not going to happen. We'll see. Depends on if there's another live.
1 to 2 more days of it.
Yeah, I imagine 1 or 2 more days. But they'll open up something else, I imagine, pretty quickly, too.
Maybe. Well, not till after the draft. They won't open anything up till after the draft.
Maybe. We'll have to see because they sometimes cook up some last-minute things. Steven, but you're probably right. Steven, you have 20 seconds, Steven.
All right. Just came out as a report. I don't know if you just seen this, but Albert Breer from Sports. Actually, I'm not sure where he's from, but he tweeted out that the Cardinals have granted DeAndre Hopkins permission to talk to other teams. Yeah,
I saw that a minute ago. I'll have to go live on that one eventually too. I might try and do that before my 7 p.m. show. But yeah, we'll see what that does for Hopkins' ability to move. I mean, he's getting moved regardless, probably. But the Cardinals have said to be very, very, I guess they're requesting a ton for Hopkins. Like, they want the Christian McCaffrey deal, is what I'm hearing. They want the second, the third, and the fourth round pick, which is a lot. But I think, he's worth a second. He's worth a second. I really believe a team's willing to pay a second. But the Cardinals need to back down on that second, third, and fourth round request, or at least the second and third round request, because I don't think a team's going to give up both. He's entering that 31-year-old season. Usually, at best, it's your final season, of where you're balling out and you're staying healthy. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have more to talk on DeAndre. I'm kind of wait. I'm going to wait and see if any more news kicks into gear, and we might hear some teams that are potentially on his radar. And we'll hear a little bit more. So stay tuned. There should be a live on that at some point.
All right, yeah, no problem. Because besides that, the only other stuff is just Sean Payton just like saying stuff about that Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton are not going to get traded and all that. But other than that, it's just been like what you've been talking about.
Another thing that came out was that John Lynch said Brock Purdy has earned the right to be the starter in 2023. What a stupid thing to say, I guess, when you're walking into Trey Lance has got to go out there and start probably week 1. Like, why would you do that? Why do they sabotage Trey Lance? They're sabotaging Trey Lance. I mean, just keep that quiet, keep that in house until like, let's say Trey were to fail or not fail. Like, why come out and say that Brock Purdy has earned the right to be the starter in 2023 when he's probably not going to be ready for week 1? You'd be dumb to run him out there. And you're going to literally just devalue your quarterback. Like, they might as well trade Trey Lance.
Yeah, yeah. And when they're saying stuff like that, it's just crazy. Like how, like not that long ago, they felt like they were invested in this guy to move up, and now it's like the way that they're treating Trey Lance. It's almost like when you go back and look at like history, is like, did they just like mess this up by trading up for this guy and not really giving him a chance to succeed?
I just can't believe he'd say that. Walking into Trey's got to go out there on the field. Like, it's ridiculous. Doesn't it feel like the Niners quarterback situation is going to somehow unravel, right? I don't know.
No, I agree. No, I agree with you 100%. Because what it's telling everybody, especially like even like the fans, is that they have no idea what they want to do with the quarterback situation. If they want to go with Brock Purdy, if they want to go with Trey Lance, or if they want to bring like somebody in. It just seems like it's like a whole like a big like situation.
We'll probably be back in about. I got to jump, Steven, but I appreciate you. We'll probably be back on a combo of Trey Lance or Niners quarterback situation and Hopkins on a live stream. I'm gonna have to head out for about an hour, but I'll be back on that one. Final words.
No problem, man. I didn't know that you were heading off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Steven. Never apologize for being you, pal. Okay, Steven, I'll see you. Call back when I'm back live on that one, okay?
All right, no problem. Later, man.
All right, Ron, appreciate you. You still there, Ron? I guess Ron dropped off. Ron's been dropping off now. He's got this new thing where he doesn't even say bye. He just kind of deuces out. I think it's his new persona. We're out of here. Appreciate you all. Ron Navy, appreciate you. You can call back in and say bye if you want. Until later. Probably going live on Hopkins. Probably going live on the quarterback situation in San Francisco. What's John Lynch thinking? Why would you say that? I'm going to look up Lamar's mom. Got to see. I don't know what that means there, Frank. Okay. Appreciate you all. Charles says, hey, Smitty, Lamar will end up 1 49ers, 2 Miami, 3 Pats. I think those are all 3 potential players in the Lamar sweepstakes after the NFL draft, of course. All right. Appreciate you all. I'll see you all later. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being here. I work for you. Later. Ron Navy, Ron Navy's back.
I wasn't deucing out. You said last words, and I brought up underdog, and then you moved on to Steven.
Oh.
So figured we were done.
Oh, sorry.
So I was letting you go.
Deuce, Ron, I kind of like Ron just hanging up, though. I kind of like
anyway,
that.
Go do what you got to do, brother, and we'll talk later.
Yeah, I'll be back on the San Francisco QB situation and Hopkins probably on a dual live stream because that's.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know. Real quickly, give me 10-second thoughts on John Lynch coming out and saying that about Brock Purdy when they got to start Trey Lance in Week 1.
Is it really surprising? Because they keep doing the same stuff over and over again. And you're right. They're trying to push Trey Lance out there. So
trade him.
Maybe it's the fact that Purdy's got one less year than Lance has, so they can hold on to him longer. And they just want to push Trey. They're not going to give Trey Lance a fair chance. So
just let
him go.
Just trade him. Trade him to Miami. Trade. You know who would take him? Miami. And I hate that for Mike White because I love Mike White, but that would be a good spot for Trey. Trade to Atlanta. Give Atlanta a shot. You know what I mean? Like, give Trey Lance to Atlanta. Ron, I can kind of, even though it doesn't make sense to get rid of one young guy when you have two young guys that you can use, like, why not? Why not get rid of them? Recoup some of your value. They definitely give up a first rounder for him. I just, good God, man.
Trey Lance ain't going to get a there. We already know that. So
unbelievable. All right, Ron, I'll see you back. We'll talk about this.
But yeah, we'll talk later.
All right, Ron, thanks.
Bye.
All right, guys, I'm out of here. We'll be back on Trey Lance and Hopkins later. Goose. This right here. This doesn't. I know you think Trey Lance looked bad, but Trey Lance played in a mud bowl in Week 1. Goose. He played in a mud bowl. No one was throwing the football in Week 1 in Chicago in an absolute mud bath, bro. And he broke his ankle foot after 2 or 3 completions in Week 2 in Seattle in the rain. Like, what do you mean he looked bad, horrible his first couple games? He only played 1 game. He played 1 game, Goose. He played 1 game in a mud bowl, Goose. And the game he started before was against the Texans in Week 17, Week 16, which had playoff implications on the line, and he won the game. What are you talking about? How has Trey Lance looked bad at all? He hasn't looked bad ever. Appreciate you, Goose.